Today I'm behind the wheel of a brand new 2022 Honda Civic, and for this year the Honda Civic gets completely redesigned from the ground up, and this marks the start of the new 11th generation of the Honda Civic. 11th. Now the outside of course is completely redesigned and unrecognizable compared to the 10th generation, and same thing with the interior cabin has been completely redesigned. Also the powertrain has been updated, features, there's a lot more of it. Honda Sensing also gets upgraded, and the Civic gets bigger in size. So, how good is this brand new Honda Civic? Well, let's find out. First, I want to give big thanks to Honda of Laos, which made this video possible. So if you're in the market for a brand new or used Honda, make sure you check them out. Their URL is in the description below. Now, before I go for a drive, let me show you the outside and talk about all the features you'll find inside this brand new Honda Civic. Now, as you can see with the front end, it's a lot more neutral versus the last generation. The grille opening in the middle is actually quite small, and you have this very big body panel. It's almost like a nose that's hovering above it. And then you can see the brand new LED headlights on both sides, LED daytime running lights across the top and the side. It's very slanted. It definitely looks different. And then you do have fog lights underneath. Now the lower bumper has a lot more black cladding and vents, and I think Honda did that to try to make the Civic look a bit more aggressive, but overall I think this front end is a lot more neutral and bland versus the last generation. Now moving to the side, the Civic does look longer and resembles more like the Honda Accord, and that's because the Civic is about 1.5 inches longer than the previous generation. Also, wheelbase increases by 1.5 inches. Another interesting fact is Honda pushed the cabin back a little bit, so the hood is longer and the overall cabin sits a little bit more above the rear wheels. With this EX, you do get brand new 17-inch wheels that you see here. For the most part, everything is blacked out except this one chrome window trim that is above the windows. Now moving to the back side of the Civic, you could tell it's very neutral and bland versus the last generation. Some will like it better because pretty much you just have two huge LED tail lamps. That's it. They're smoke and they take up a whole bunch of space in the back. There's really nothing else going on back here. Underneath, you do see dual exhaust tips. That's very interesting for a base model of a Honda Civic, and I'm pretty sure with the SI and with the Type R, you go see dual chrome exhaust tips underneath. There's really not much else to say for the back. Honda says the track have increased by 0.5 inches, but I doubt you'll notice because the overall width is still the same as the last generation. Now, if you pop the trunk, you realize the Civic offers amazing amount of cargo room. The trunk space is enormous. Enormous. It's very wide, it's very deep, very tall. Also, you do have a spare tire underneath, and if this wasn't enough, you can fold down the rear seats and get more cargo room. Now moving to the second row, because this is an EX, one of the base trims, you're not getting leather, although the polyester or cloth seats actually feels really good. As for space, I'm 5'10" and I have about 2 to 3 inches of legroom behind my driving position, also 2 to 3 inches of headroom. It feels pretty good. The seats are high off the ground, so it's pretty comfortable for adults. Unfortunately with this EX, you don't get any ports, no USB ports, no 12V outlet, not even vents. You just get a pair of cup holders. That's it. Now if you move up front, pretty much everything has been redesigned. You have a pop-out screen, a brand new dash design, and also a brand new center console design too. The steering wheel is brand new, and I gotta say the thickness has increased, so it feels a little better in my hands. Also, you do see some unique white stitching on the inside. Of course, the buttons are still there for your safety system, Honda Sensing on the right side, and on the left side is more for controlling your info screen and your music and voice control. Now, the gauge cluster is half digital, half analog, and I recognize this. This is pulled straight from a Honda Accord. On the right side, you see an analog speedometer, and on the left side, you see a digital tachometer. And if you want to scroll through various menu items, you can. I'm surprised it's not in the middle. It's actually within the tachometer. If you're scrolling, you can see many things: warnings, range and fuel, speed and time, your driver attention, seatbelts, maintenance, safety support, settings, etc. So you can scroll through many different menu items. Real quick, take a look at these new door handles made of aluminum. They look good and they feel fantastic too. Also, the window window switches and the mirror controls, these are pulled from Honda Accord too. I could tell the quality, the feel, is just a little bit better. Now look at this new dash design with these new vents. Very unique. You have like a little joystick that you use to control where the vents are blowing, which is fine. It actually works very well, but I think it looks kind of weird. You have these 4 knobs that's just sticking out, right? Now you do see this very unique aluminum grill, I guess, with a lot of hexagons. It stretches from the passenger side all the way to the driver's side. It does look unique, but I just wonder how easy it'll be to clean. If that gets dirty, I think it's gonna be quite hard to clean. Now moving above, the Civic does have 2 screens. This one comes with a 7-inch screen, and if you get the Touring, you get upgraded to an HD 9-inch screen. This screen is pretty simple. You have 2 knobs, volume, and your scrolling. Also, you have some buttons on the bottom to control your phone, radio, media, your connectivity, and also you have a menu that you can scroll through. It's pretty simple design. I think it's a little bit better than the previous generation, but it's not a whole lot better. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both standard though. Now moving down, you have climate controls, and with this EX, you do get heated seats, which is pretty nice, and you do get dual zone climate control. Underneath, you have 1 single USB port and a 12V outlet, and unfortunately, inside this whole EX, you only get 1 USB port. There's a phone holder underneath. You get a standard shifter, which is surprising. I thought Honda would have moved to the push button shifter that you see in all the other Hondas. You do have 2 cup holders, traditional cup holders, and a few buttons for your engine auto start stop, economy mode, and your parking. Now, your armrest is redesigned, and it's just pretty basic. You open it up, you have a coin tray and a whole bunch of space. That's it. Unfortunately, I think this is a downgrade. The last generation, this was so customizable. There was 3 cup holders, and you can move the armrest forward and backwards. You can move the cup holders forwards and backwards. It was just a lot more practical and functional. This one is just more basic. And with this EX on top, you do have a power sunroof. All right, I'm behind the wheel. Let's see how good this brand new Civic is and see how it drives. The first thing I want to talk about is the exterior looks, because I'm just really curious what Honda's thought process was for this new Civic. The reason being, Honda Civics have always been kind of bland and neutral, but for the 10th generation, they decided to change it up. They went with a very aggressive, bold, and stylish look, and that actually really worked. That made sales go up through the roof, and others copied. Take a look at the new Corolla, the new Elantra, the new Forte. All the new compact sedans that followed became a lot more aggressive and edgy and stylish, all due to Honda's direction. But for this 11th generation, Honda's like, I think we made a mistake, or we're just gonna go back to being our old self, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I find the exterior look, although fine, being a compact sedan or being a sedan in general, it's just really underwhelming. Now I'm already up to speed. I'm going about 50 miles per hour right now, and the Civic is nice and quiet, nice and quiet. I would say the road noise is a little bit louder than I expected. I don't know if it's due to these tires, but like right now when there's like imperfections, I do hear it quite a lot. So the road noise is a little bit louder, but wind noise, very quiet. Don't hear anything from the outside really, from the wind, from cars passing by, minimal. So it's more of just the road noise. And engine noise also, almost nothing. You can't really hear it unless you floor it. And speaking of the engine, it has been upgraded. For an EX and above, you do get a 1.5 liter turbo engine. Now this engine existed before, but the power output gets boosted. Now you get 180 horsepower. That's not too bad. I remember this engine was actually quite lively. I'll test out full acceleration or full throttle in a little bit. Now, if you go with the base trim, you do get a 2-liter natural aspirated engine. The power output is a lot less, and fuel economy is less too. So really, you want to opt for this new engine, this new 1.5 liter, if you can. So you should look at a EX or above. Now, as for suspension, it's actually pretty good. Pretty good. Around town, you know, the roads aren't perfect, dips, imperfections everywhere, and the suspension is soaking up everything quite nicely. It's not the softest ride out there. It's not the harshest either. It's just kind of in the middle, kind of neutral, and I think most people will be satisfied with it. The same goes with the steering. I mentioned about the steering wheel. The steering wheel, this new one, I love. The thickness of it really makes it more enjoyable. It feels more sporty in your hands. As for the steering weight and precision, it's about the same as before. There is still some steering play. It's not very precise, but the weight of it is okay, decent. So I would say it's good. It's not the greatest, but it's good. So when you combine this with the suspension, you're getting a decent ride. Now, I can't be 100% certain, but I do feel like I'm sitting higher off the ground than the previous Civic. I remember the last generation, I've tested so many Civics, I remember sitting pretty low to the ground. With this one, I feel like I'm sitting pretty high off the ground, especially for a compact sedan, which is actually a pretty good thing. Getting in and out is actually easier. The view is fantastic. The windshield is nice and big. All the windows are very big. Even the blind spot, because there's like a quarter window back there, so blind spot is good too. Rear visibility isn't bad either. So I think the sitting position has improved. It's a little bit higher off the ground, although I can't verify that completely, but it does feel that way. And visibility all around is very, very good. Now, as for braking, it's okay. A little twitchy. The brake pedal feel is okay. Good linear feel. The pedal's not mushy. It's not stiff, but coming completely to a stop, I feel it twitch a little bit. So overall, it's not bad, but could be better. Honda sensing also gets updated and improved with this new generation. All the usual stuff like emergency braking and warning, lane departure alert, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, speed sign recognition, all here, but you get something new called traffic jam assist, which basically is adaptive cruise control for traffic jams, for low speeds. So now on the highway, the Civic will come to a complete stop and go and stop and go. Okay, so I just got up to speed, went from about 10 to 60 miles per hour, and acceleration was just so-so. I think mostly because of the CVT transmission. I kind of expected better. I remember the last generation was a little bit quicker off the line and just quicker overall, which is weird because you actually have more power now. But right there when I was like really gunning it, it just felt like this transmission was holding it back, and unfortunately it is still using a CVT. So next up, let me talk about the different trim levels and pricing and give you my final thoughts on this brand new Civic. The 2022 Honda Civic has 4 trim levels. The base LX starts under $22,000. Then you have the Sport at $23,000, the EX, which is this one I'm reviewing, and it starts under $25,000, and finally you have the range-topping touring trim at $28,300. To conclude, the 2022 Honda Civic is still a great all-around compact sedan. The new redesign made the Civic slightly bigger, more powerful, and brings a new cabin, new safety features, and a new exterior look. The Civic provides great fuel economy, great amount of interior room and cargo space, and the Civic provides great visibility along with a comfortable ride. The bad includes a bland and somewhat boring exterior, the lack of USB ports within the cabin and no vents in the second row, and the CVT holds the Civic back upon heavy acceleration. Overall, I'm giving the brand new 2022 Honda Civic EX a score of 90. To see where it ranks, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel, and make sure to check out these other videos.